When Taylor Hall signed a contract with the Buffalo Sabres back in the offseason last year, he made some really interesting comments talking about how he believes in the Buffalo Sabres and the reason why he decided to go there. Here are the quotes from when he signed back on October 11th. "When you sign a one-year contract, you're obviously betting on yourself," Hall said Monday. "I'm betting on myself, but I'm betting that the Sabres can improve and have a good hockey season. I truly believe that. If I didn't, I wouldn't be here. I really think there are steps to be taken, and the pieces are there. Hopefully I can add that and have a good year." So, Buffalo was the destination for Taylor Hall, the top free agent of the 2020 free agency class. And now, in a position where he is making $8 million on a one-year deal, he is in a spot where yesterday he had two very terrible giveaways that resulted in goals against, as the Buffalo Sabres fell 5-2 to the Pittsburgh Penguins. This is significant because the Buffalo Sabres have now lost 15 games in a row. And, what else is there to say? They've played 31 games, they've won 6, they have 16 points on the year, so they're just above what is .25. You know how teams say, oh, we need to be 500 on the year? We need to get at least the same amount of points as games played? Yeah, Buffalo was almost at half of 500, .25. So, things have been going terribly for the Sabres, to say the least, and Taylor Hall has been one of the big pieces on this bad squad. It's kind of funny because you take a look at what the Sabres did on paper. I honestly was kind of buying what they were doing. I was like, yeah, they added Taylor Hall, they added Eric Stahl, they added Cody Eakin, Eichel's going to be good, Reinhardt's going to be good, Olofsson's going to be good, Mittelstad's going to develop, Rasmus Dahlin is Rasmus Dahlin. You guys are going to be better than you were last year. And, absolutely not. They are so incredibly bad. And Taylor Hall's performance in particular has not been great. He's at 16 points in 31 games played, which I guess isn't terrible, but the fact is, you were brought in to be one of the top dogs on this team, and he's got 2 goals on the year, so things really could be a lot better for the Buffalo Sabres when you take a look at what exactly it is they're trying to sell. Which is why, if we go over on the TVA Sports and we take a look at this article talking about what Maxim Lapierre had to say, he went over onto Dave Morissette Live and had himself a segment where he highlights how he really thinks that Taylor Hall is part of the problem. What is up, viewer out there watching this video? Lars back here talking about Taylor Hall and the Buffalo Sabres, asking the question on whether or not Hall himself was a mistake for the Sabres to go after. So, going over onto this segment, this TVA Sports article highlighting what is a video of Maxim Lapierre, a former Montreal Canadien and Pittsburgh Penguin and Vancouver Canuck. Yeah, we all kind of remember Lapierre. I do, in particularly high regard, because he scored the only goal in Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals against Tim Thomas and the Boston Bruins, when the Vancouver Canucks lost 4 out of 5 games to lose the Stanley Cup Finals after being up 2-0. Yeah, I'm heartbroken. But regardless, Maxim Lapierre had a segment on Quebec TV where he spoke about what exactly is the problem with the Buffalo Sabres. He says that even though he doesn't want to disrespect Taylor Hall, he believes it was a big mistake putting Taylor Hall under contract. If you really want to change the culture in an organization, you don't go looking for a guy who focuses strictly on his offensive stats on one side of the ice. Lapierre then went further, saying that he would never have made an offer to Taylor Hall when the latter was a UFA last fall. Impossible. For any amount, I would not go after this guy. I like a guy like Brendan Gallagher, who works every game. Okay, you could get the point here. Maxim Lapierre kind of played that similar style too, so it totally makes sense to me why he's saying it like that. Furthermore, there are some other comments made here. Taylor Hall's plan was to go to the organization where he would post the best stats to sign an incredible contract at the end of the 2021 season. I think his bet didn't work out. I'm not even sure we want to keep him in Buffalo, and it would be a mistake to offer him another contract. But knowing the Sabres, they will offer him a 7-year extension. So that is some pretty harsh criticism of the Buffalo Sabres and the Taylor Hall situation as a whole from a former NHL athlete, one whom I, as I said, hold in very high regard. But I wanted to bring this idea onto the channel because it brings up a few interesting perspectives as to what exactly went wrong with the Sabres here this year. We noted it. They added 3 very bona fide NHL caliber players, and they kept a good amount of some of the guys that made them successful last year. And by successful, I mean not last year. And they're still down there as a team that is even worse than the Red Wings of last year, which is tough to beat because the Red Wings last year were the first team to get as bad of a set of numbers as they did in the post-lockout era. So, yeah, good company. In fact, it's so drastic. Look at this. The Red Wings last year had a .275 points percentage, which was absolutely terrible, and we thought it wouldn't be able to be matched until the Buffalo Sabres the very next year went out there and started putting up a .258. Now, we all know that the circumstances of the league are different. The fact that they're only playing the Eastern teams and not playing against every other team, they don't have a chance to play against the worst in the Central Red Wings or the worst in the West Anaheim Ducks or the worst in the North Ottawa Senators. They're only going out there playing the Devils, the Rangers, the Flyers, the Bruins, the Pens, the Capitals, and the Islanders, all of who are actually doing pretty okay for themselves this year. So it is kind of skewed in a different direction, but at the end of the day, Taylor Hall is still putting up disappointing numbers for a disappointing hockey team, which is going to change the amount of money this guy's able to get for sure, because if he is betting on himself, my gosh, what a result here from that bet. Now, I know I'm making this video talking about whether or not the Taylor Hall signing in itself was a problem, but the underlying factors can honestly act as a silver lining here. There have been many advanced analytics sourced about by some very smart people, especially on hockey Twitter, talking about Taylor Hall specifically and highlighting just how the Buffalo Sabres are honestly kind of lucky that they have Hall, because even though he's not producing in the way that people thought he would, there have been some pretty analytical dives as to how positive Taylor Hall's underlying data actually is. This is a post on EP Ringside from Jay Fresh, one of the most just analytically sound people on the hockey media scene, and he wrote an article talking about how Taylor Hall could be seen as a really good buy low candidate because of how good his underlying numbers have been. I'll leave a link in the description to this EP Ringside article because it is behind a paywall, but I think it speaks wonders as to how crazy the Buffalo Sabres season really has been when you have a guy in Taylor Hall whose underlying numbers are so much more positive than the production on the ice would suggest, even when he's going out there as the guy who gives the puck away twice to the Penguins, leading them to score 2 of their 5 goals in what is the Sabres' 15th loss in a row. So, even though Maxim Lapierre might come out here and talk about how the Taylor Hall signing was a bad move for the organization in general, at the end of the day, the Sabres still have an asset that probably might be on the move, and who, in some circumstances, might actually be worth a lot more to whichever team is going out there trying to acquire him. Obviously, the biggest loser here seems to be Buffalo, because quite literally they're losing all these games, and the haul that you're going to get for Hall? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. The package that you're going to receive in a Taylor Hall trade seems a lot more lacking today than it would have been all those months ago when you initially signed Taylor Hall with the expectation as to what Taylor Hall would bring to your team. But again, if you're going out there acquiring Taylor Hall for what is a very small package because he doesn't really seem to be all too valuable anymore, you might be getting a good player. You might be getting a guy who has just been plagued with such bad luck and such a bad team around him that who knows how well he can play when he is actually out there with some good teammates. Will he score more than 2 goals? Who knows? We'll have to see. But talk to me in the comments what you think about this idea over here. Do you think the Taylor Hall signing was a mistake? Do you agree with the Lapierre perspective, or are you on the more optimistic side for whichever team is going to go out there and trade for him once the trade deadline comes around? Talk to me in the comments what you think. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.